Welcome, everyone, to the Innovation Alley podcast. I'm here with Suzanne Braun, Dustin Refvik, and Bryce North, the gentleman from TrapTap. And on today's episode, what we want to do is do a follow-up from last year. Now, we had talked about, I guess it was with you, Bryce, we had talked about Kickstarter campaigns, launching your campaign, and we have one heck of an update. But before we get into it, maybe we could talk to the new viewers. What exactly is TrapTap?
Yeah, absolutely. So TrapTap, what we like to call it, is your device that makes you a smarter and safer driver. So really, what it looks like is an oversized Oreo cookie that sits on your dash and flashes different colors and tones that reminds you when you're coming close to different speed traps, when you're speeding, any cop mobile radar traps, or even when you're approaching school zones.
Excellent. So how did you guys come up with this idea? Now, it's been... the first time I saw it was at one of the startup weekends. Like,
yeah.
how did it grow?
Yeah, it started as like all good ideas over a couple of drinks between Bryce and I, and we decided we've been wanting to do something with North Forge facility in Winnipeg. We wanted to do something in the IoT space for a long time, and we were just talking about some ideas that we had, and Bryce wanted to try and make his Fitbit remind him if he was coming near a radar trap. So we said, hey, let's take a crack at this. And so we latched on to a couple of great engineers locally here. Within a couple of months, we had gone through the Ramp Up Manitoba weekend. We went over to North Forge Fab Lab and ripped out prototypes within, 30, 45 days. And
awesome.
We had something that actually blinked lights and it worked. So we thought, hey, let's see if anybody will buy it.
So that's it. So that's when we started talking. So at that point in time, you guys did the campaign. And so what is the outcome from that campaign?
Success in our mind, right? Yeah, no, it was quite well. We did on Kickstarter. We did about 400,000 in pre-sales of the product.
Okay.
In just about a couple months there, so 60 days, and that was riveting for us.
Yeah.
It was quite great. And then we went to Indiegogo In Demand after, which is a nice online post-Kickstarter platform where you actually can have an online store to sell your product.
Okay.
So either you go Kickstarter and In Demand, or then Indiegogo and In Demand.
Okay.
But again, you can keep that going as long as you want. And we did just over 100,000 USD in a couple months on that as well too, just to continue
so
sales.
$500,000 in sales.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So now after that campaign, so that's one heck of a campaign, especially for an IoT device in Canada. What happened after that? How do you actually respond to this demand?
Yeah, you have a choice, right? I mean, like they say about 70% of campaigns fail. So you have a choice of running away with the money or delivering on that, right? And we loved our backers; they're great. So we decided, to try to make this happen. So. Honestly, it was just, heads down, gearing up for production, find the right manufacturer for that, the right fulfillment center to take care of that, logistic-wise. And I can say successfully, we delivered 5,600 units by Christmas time of 2016 with happy customers out there.
Yeah, I got to thank you guys. I got mine, and it works awesome. It's and again, same thing for the folks who on the screen there. Go to the website, check it out. It's a neat little device. It's not easy to make. So talk about that fulfillment from doing a handful of rough prototypes to getting a device that you could fulfill. Like, what were some of the big challenges with doing that?
Well, we had a lot of challenges, but basically there's two categories. There's the manufacturing process, which we spent a lot of time on post-Kickstarter campaign. And even during the campaign, as we knew that we were becoming successful, we started really working with our producers locally here, Price Electronics, and trying to figure out how we're going to be able to make these for sort of the price points we need to make them for, to make a business out of this, and still deliver on these units, this 5,000 plus units that we had done in the campaign. But we got the units built, we've got some of them shipped, and as with every product, software or IoT, like once you get them in the hands of real customers and they're being used, that's when the real fun starts. So we learned a number of great lessons around that. In like how important having the proper infrastructure for customer service and technical support, and understanding how to scale and manage bugs with feature development and all the things.
It's becoming that real long-term business. Yeah,
exactly. Even labeling your product as made in Canada so it doesn't get held up at the border.
Yeah, we might have had a few thousand units held up at the border because we forgot to put "Made in Canada" on the boxes. So I mean, like, there's some things we learned along the process, but at the end of the day, I think. We were fortunate to have a really good team. We have really good facilities here. We have great resources in Winnipeg. So we were able to do, from March 2016 to December 2016, we conceptualized an idea, pre-funded it, and built the prototypes, built the actual manufactured versions, and then got all 5,000 units out the door. So it's pretty good for 9 months.
Oh yeah, incredible! And to see that the whole flow, from that ideation, through execution, it's been amazing to see how you guys have done this. So what's next? Like, what's the big thing on the horizon for you guys? What are you working on now?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is sales. Get more units out there.
Yeah.
Focusing on and leveraging between online sales and getting to small test markets for retail and B2B.
Okay.
In order to figure out that market, find how pricing points work, and how to deal with these retailers on a small to a larger scale.
And first sense, is online sales, direct sales better than retail? Are there advantages to retail you're finding that it's enticing?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? I mean, it's more profitable to go online, right? I mean, we have a lot higher margins for ourselves, and we can use the money invested with the margins into retailers to spend more money finding our customers online, right? So that cost of customer acquisition is more favorable in our sense. So we've been finding that. But with retailers, you got to take a look that if you have a product where you just need to get in front of more eyeballs and it's going to sell itself, go to the retail market, right? If you're still learning how to educate and find your offering in the market, maybe eyeballs isn't the right thing. And so, targeted ads online for specific users or come to your page and utilizing your campaigns to make sales might be smart at that time being.
Yeah, like now I know in the retail world, a lot has changed regarding their startup programs. So, go back 10 years ago, there's no such thing. You pitched your product, they may or may not take it, probably on consignment, those kinds of things. And pick on say Best Buy or those kind of organizations. They have these retail startup kind of programs. Are they worth it? Are they worth pursuing and checking out? What do you guys think?
I think so. I mean, we're aware of a program where we're in the process of going through a program potentially with Best Buy, and it's designed to be favorable to early stage, technology companies to get that technology on the shelves earlier than maybe you'd be prepared for.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've learned, or a number of the things that we've learned about retail, is there's more that goes into it than just the product. It's our ability to sustain that growth, our ability to service the customers and continue to put out a good product, and you don't get that many cracks at the cat when you're dealing with major retail. So one of the programs that is really interesting is called Ignite by Best Buy, and they do a number of things in that program to try and help reduce the hurdles. And so one of those things is allows us to ship direct to store instead of through their fulfillment centers, or they'll reduce the payable times from 90-day to 40-day.
Wow.
And then they'll even take your marketing input. So 6 to 8% you'd be paying Best Buy for marketing, they'll take it as a convertible note and end up on your cap table. So they're obviously very aggressive at getting into this market, and I think it's very interesting from our perspective. And in terms of entering retail, I mean, there's a lot of challenges that we would be going through that could put the company in a bad position. You could certainly outgrow ourselves and end up as a negative situation. But this program, like Ignite as an example, is something that we're seriously considering.
Perfect. So it's taking the thousands of sales, growing to tens of thousands this year. From in that growth you're going to see over the next year, what does the market look like? Are you pivoting beyond that original focus to other markets or other applications?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something honestly we've been looking at here. Is where is this TrapTap brand bringing us? And we realize that this device is an entrance into the auto-connected space of some sort, right? I mean, this is an entrance product bringing us into some sort of play where we want to integrate with Apple Car, Android Auto, and get into that sort of realm. And TrapTap's not our first product with that.
Yeah.
So I'll admit that we're still figuring out what that pathway looks like, but at the same time, it looks pretty clear. With the connected space coming up.
Yeah. So sorry, it's interesting to see because it really the thing I've seen with you folks over the last year here is it's someone can mistake the business as just the tap, the IoT piece. When you look at the data set behind in the application, the research, the diversity of applications seems mind-blowing. It's not a GoPro where it may not exist in 5 years. It seems to be a whole whack of things this business could be. How do you decide what those future opportunities are going to be at this stage?
That's a great question. It's something we're still figuring out, but we're trying to balance objectives that sort of lock us in from a growth and revenue perspective with long-term opportunities around data. And an example of that is, we've got a lot of interest in other markets, international markets. And there's one in particular that's really bent on the fleet side of things, so the commercial side of things, and not just from a getting TrapTaps in commercial vehicles, but from the data that we can pull back from commercial drivers for the companies and for the governments and things like that. I'll give you one example. In South Africa, there's legislation coming into effect that will see all fleet drivers have to basically provide this driving details, these types of driving records to the company, and then subsequently to meet demand from the government. And something like TrapTap has the ability to not only do all that, collect that information for the companies, but also provide this this safety device to the actual drivers themselves. So we feel like there's a lot of opportunity that we've just started to tap into right now.
Yeah, excellent. So now to make all this happen, so that the campaign, I guess, really pushed you into the world of having a real business, getting all these capabilities going, to facilitate that next stage of growth. What are you guys looking at to help capitalize, to finance, to grow? What are the big things you're looking at to build the business on that side?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing right now would be that the investment round we're looking for help to scale and get to that next point. With that money comes looking at utilizing bigger and better online marketplaces to sell TrapTap, and then again, like I mentioned before, utilizing and finding an entrance of new. I guess you wouldn't say product specialists, and comes in the card market community, in the retail environment to trial that out and see where that's going, right? So it's just scaling. That's the biggest
What's
point.
really interesting about that is when you do well on Kickstarter, as an example, you start to get some traction early. You get a lot of opportunities that come out, and some of those opportunities take an investment on our end, and we want to make sure that we can try and leverage all of the really big opportunities that we have available while over the next 18 months or 2 years, right? And some of those opportunities, like we mentioned earlier, with retail and such, but there's also a lot of opportunities with distribution partnerships and other types of growth-related opportunities that cost money for us to look at, and we just want to essentially focus this year on establishing ourselves and establishing this entrance product in North America and some of the other key markets that we found.
So knowing what you know now, are there things now that you would have approached the first 2-3 months differently about everything you've done here?
Yeah, honestly, production was a huge side of that. What to expect when managing orders when it comes down to cash flow. That's a big thing for us. Over projecting sales, being too confident on what we thought we were going to bring in, not understanding how the retails are in the holiday season and sales work for Canada compared to the U.S. I mean, it's all different. You assume it's going to be the same, but there are retail and sales gaps.
Yeah. So what's an example there? What is the difference between the U.S. and Canada on that?
Boxing Day, for instance, is slowly declining when we thought it'd be one of our best sales, and honestly, Black Friday was for. And Black Friday is the new thing in Canada, and I've started reading a lot about that. It's just it doesn't exist in the U.S. And the U.S. is our larger market, so we invested a lot, hoping we're going to get a lot of sales during that week, when Canada is a secondary or third market for us.
So one of the things I would have done differently coming out of the success of Kickstarter is started to look for some mentoring or advisory services from people who've been in this place before. We're doing it now, and we're meeting a lot of great people that if we would have met them 6 months ago, coming out of this, we would have been able to do a lot more damage on sort of our own selling and online sales and all that stuff. I mean, we know enough about digital marketing to get by, but when it comes down to it, you're talking about bringing a single SKU IoT product to market. Like there's a lot of sort of nuances there that we're starting to get a lot of connections with now, and so that would have helped a lot.
And how would you go about finding that? Again, in hindsight, what would you have needed to find those mentors and see that space?
I mean, a lot of it's just going to be reaching out, obviously, trying to find. I mean, you'll always be surprised at how easy it can be to actually get support if you just go out and find people and ask them for it. Yeah. But having come off a very successful campaign, we had a lot of PR and a lot of publicity and a lot of excitement around the company and the product. We still do, but at that point, we had people knocking on our doors. We really could have built a really strong sort of advisory team around the idea of commercializing this single SKU sort of IoT project, because again, it has its own set of challenges which we've been able to navigate, but I think it would have been worth its weight in gold 6 months ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, again, plenty of time to respond to that challenge now. So growth is good. You're going for that next round of investment. When we talk again next year, where do you guys see yourself in 12 months? What do you look at when you look at the business? What do you hope to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Great question, well, too. We definitely can talk when it comes down to revenue and number sales, but really what I want to see us have is a significant presence in some sort of brick and mortar retail.
Yeah.
And this is definitely going to be heavily weighted in the U.S. And I really want to see our markets, Australia and Germany, kind of bloom a bit more because they are getting a lot of attention out there, and I think we can really excel on that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the big challenges that I'd like to overcome this year are putting together a well-oiled sort of customer acquisition process from a direct customer standpoint, and then marry that to some retail sometime in 2017.
Great. Well, looking forward to it. And now for the folks at home, we can go to where to buy a TrapTap.
TrapTap.com.
There we go. That's simple, eh? Perfect.
That's it.
Well, go find it. Go check out the video. It's a great device. And thank you very much, guys, for coming down today.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
Hey,
what a
thanks,
hell of a win.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.